The Politics program is brought to you by Stickers or DIAF. Hey, it's your old pal, Big Head Justin, showing you all the hot new prod we got here at Stickers or DIAF. Oh, look at this. Is this a Please Don't Die pin? Huh? Oh my God. Yes, it is. It is indeed a Please Don't Die pin. Oh, wait a minute. Is this a Diamond Club? Diamond Club pin? Right? What? How about this one? For all the Kevin Morgan fans, how about a little Merhoy for your life? Go ahead and get a picture of this a lot better if you go on over to the website, stickersordIAF.com. All three pins, all together, $24.99. This is a bargain. Shipping right now. Also, our Mega Pack now has every sticker that we have ever pushed out on Stickers or DIAF, including these new ones. You're a PX3 fan, you're listening to this show. New PX3 art done by my brother, Eric Young. Great times. Also, in that pack, the jury sticker. You get that in the $5 pack as well. But $20 sticker pack gets you 27 stickers, plus a jury will buy you a drink token, plus an original Ruin'em wine label, old stickers, new stickers. The $5 sticker pack is still there. We still got a few Diamond Club patches. It is all there at stickersordIAF.com. But enough of talking about how we can support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics. Yes. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're back in the studio. I'm not blowing your ears out anymore because people were so excited. Big shout out to everybody who came out to the Philly show. That was such a great night, such an amazing time. Big thanks again to Odocta, a.k.a. Owen J.J. Stone, who helped us out breaking down the Monica Lewinsky scandal. By the way, we're ahead of the game on that. CNN is doing a whole thing on that. And by the way, Monica Lewinsky roasted them. So like, now on CNN, the Monica Lewinsky scandal revisited. She was like, how about this one? How about the Bill Clinton impeachment scandal or the Starr report? Because I was just a lady, you know? Why is the fact that I blew the president the most noteworthy element of this? Huh? She's got a point. Of course, we didn't pay attention to that point when we did the show, but we're a pack of stupid heads with duty faces. So apologies to Monica Lewinsky. The next time we do a retrospective on that scandal, we will call it the Starr Report. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. The vast majority of what we're going to talk about today is shit that happened this morning. A lot happened this morning. We got a lot going on. We stuff is popping off at every possible conceivable juncture, man. Half of it is just from the president's Twitter. The president went wild on Twitter today, and that's saying something coming from that dude. I'm not trying to push everybody on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/JURY, but I'm just saying that those headline episodes on Mondays and Fridays, if you are tapped into the political zeitgeist, they're helpful because there's a lot of shit that we talked about on those that we're not even going to really get to just because there's so much more shit here. What's here? Well, Donald Trump's retweeting videos of supposed Muslim violence from like some far right-wing leader in the UK. That's a little odd. Also, the president has taken to this your favorite president thing, which I have a theory about. He's also tweeting about vague, unsolved mysteries about a death in the office of Joe Scarborough. We have the ongoing Me Too stuff, which, by the way, might wind up biting Democrats in the ass. So much so that it might put Roy Moore in the Senate. By the way, I think Roy Moore's going into the Senate. We're going to talk about both those things. We're going to talk about Keith Olbermann retiring from political commentary. Believe it when I see it. And the fact that there are more media hashtag Me Too's that have fanned the garbage fire flames and claimed not one but two more victims. And we're going to make a few notes about this Project Veritas Washington Post story. And the pole dance and your emails. Jam-packed. All right? We're jam-packed. So we can't spend a lot of time on a lot of stuff. Because look, there's nothing that you take out of there. Right? This is news, baby. Sometimes the Lord provides. And lo, the news Lord has provided for us today. Let's begin with this. Donald Trump and tweeting. Man, we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk a lot about that today. And we should. So dig this. Trump retweeting a string of violent anti-Muslim videos shared by far-right Britain First leader, Jada Franzen. Now, these range from dubious to inflammatory to faces of death. For everybody watching live here in the chat room, when I say faces of death, are you familiar with what I'm talking about? Does that reference track? Faces of Death. Because Faces of Death was an old thing when I was a teenager. It was kind of a viral hit, as it were, in the VHS culture. Now, Faces of Death, many of which were fake, but the promise of Faces of Death was that you were watching people die on camera. So I saw a lot of people saying on Twitter today that Donald Trump retweeted a snuff film. Now, I had always remembered that definition a little bit differently because I had always assumed that a snuff film involved sex by necessity. That, like, you were having sex with somebody and then they died, right? Or you killed them at the end of the snuff film. But I don't know whether or not that's real. I do know that Faces of Death is this, right? This is literally what Donald Trump tweeted. I'm not going to show it because it's gross. I found it kind of distasteful. Not kind of distasteful. I found it actually distasteful. But here are some of the pictures. These were all tweeted over the last day or so by this lady, Jada Franzen. She is against the Islamization of Britain. And here's the one that I find to be probably easily the most just gross. And that is a mob. It sounds like during wartime or some kind of revolution. There's gunfire and stuff. Dude getting thrown off a roof and then beaten to death, right? Then here's the one that's the most dubious. It's a darker skinned kid beating the shit out of a lighter skinned kid with crutches and one of these Dutch ass bowl haircuts. Like, now people, I don't know. I've heard other stuff or read other stuff online that maybe this kid is not Muslim, but the video says Muslim migrant beats up Dutch boy on crutches. Wouldn't shock me if that is or is not whatever that is, right? Then we got this. A dude with a head covering and a beard shattering a Virgin Mary statue. Easily that one is the least, it's an asshole causing property damage. Donald Trump retweets all of them in the morning. This is his first thing that he does. Sees his lady. Oh, my God. We got to get this shit right out here. Pop, pop, pop. Right in a row. 3 videos. And this lady cannot be more tickled pink about it. She screen caps all of them. Says the president of all caps. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, has retweeted 3 of Deputy Leader Jada Franzen's Twitter videos. Donald Trump himself has retweeted these videos and has around 44 million followers. God bless you, Trump. God bless America. And then, whatever, JBF. So, what can you say? What more can I say? I don't even want to really get too upset about it because, like, I just don't want to dignify it. Like, here's why I find these videos beyond. Let's take it beyond the racial or discriminatory element of it for 1 second. Let's see if we can press pause on that. And just look at the fact that the president of the United States just seems so powerless doing this to me. And, like, I'm not a huge, like, aura of the presidency guy. There is an element of Donald Trump that I do think is probably helpful. That he is demystifying what it is to be president so we don't look at presidents in a way that my partner on Night Attack, Brian Brushwood, has helpfully coined as God kings, right? The more we think that presidents, the closer we think the presidents are mailmen and less God kings, I think the better. But holy crap, like, even if he legitimately believed all these things were real and that people needed to see him, isn't there something better that he could do to take action against this kind of behavior if he believed it to be 100% real than tweeting it? Right? Like, you would think so. You would think that, like, oh, shit, this is happening. I'm the president. I should tell me. Like, somebody should tell somebody who can do something. Like, me. I'm the guy. I'm the guy running up the flagpole to me. It's my flagpole. Instead, it's like, no, I'm going to just tweet it, I guess. People need to know about this. Sidon says the presidency is the control of the diplomatic corps of the most powerful country to ever exist. It's a little bit more important than a mailman. I know. Come on. Closer to a mailman. He also shouldn't be revered as a god king, right? We can agree that the diplomatic corps of the most powerful nation in the world shouldn't be revered as an omnipotent, all-powerful god king. I'm just saying somewhere in the middle. And I like it moving a little bit less than away from God King, more toward mailman. We can all agree with that. I think. Probably not. So let's move on. He tweeted a lot today. This is a new trend for him, though. A new Twitter trend for him. He loves, and this I think is actually a something that I think kind of endears him to some people. Tweets, looks like another great day for the stock market. Consumer confidence is at record high. I guess somebody likes me. My policies. I mean, and my policies, I assume he's trying to go for there. Right? So this is something that he has done a little bit lately, where he keeps talking about how he's your favorite president, right? So there was kind of a evolution of this, where he tweeted out, "Oh, your favorite president," and a bunch of people tweeted, "Yo, my favorite president is Obama. My favorite president is George Bush. My favorite president is James Madison. My favorite president is Warren G. Harding," right? And so the next time he tweeted it, he tweeted, "Oh, this is your favorite president, me." Parenthetical, me. And now he does this very, these guys kind of like, I guess somebody likes me and my policies. I think it's safe to say that Donald Trump is the most publicly insecure president that we have ever seen. Part of this is due to technology. We are all more vulnerable because of social media. The more of us express what we express, the more that it makes the world around us more open to vulnerability, and B, the more that it is processable. So if somebody says, "I cried during a movie trailer 30 years ago," you're like, "What the fuck? Look at old movie trailer crying guy." But literally today, the Infinity War trailer comes out, and my entire timeline is people saying, "These movies mean so much to me. I love them. I love these characters. I cried." It's just a different world. But Donald Trump is also just a quantum leap beyond what we have seen before. You know, in my heart of hearts, I also kind of believe that this makes him the most relatable president that we have ever had. That there is a reason why people are so bound to him beyond ideology. And I don't want to get into one of these simplistic, everybody's racist and they're racist for racism and they love racism and they're going to race their cars in the racist derby. I'm not saying that racism doesn't play a fucking role in politics. I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna here. I'm just saying that there is more to this, that politics is oftentimes very complicated and yet very simple. Like, I think that there is a contingent of people that hate Donald Trump vociferously, that wake up every day thinking, "I wish that dude would be out of office by breakfast," that simultaneously think he's a lot like me. Now, I'm not saying that's at the top of the mind, but subconsciously, we're all insecure. Imposter syndrome runs rampant. And when you read that man's Twitter, is there any doubt that he has imposter syndrome running rampant throughout his life? The constant justifications, the pleas for validation from sources outside of those that already fawn over him? I mean, there's no denying that, A, we are, as a human race, insecure, and B, that he is a very insecure person, right? So if we're to understand those two things, the question is not how those connections manifest, but rather the connection is undeniable, right? Now, people are saying, imposter syndrome, Stoic Squirrel here in the chat. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like you don't deserve what you have. Yeah. How do you think that manifests? Like, we all know that the bullies are the most insecure, right? We all know that the kids that pick on other kids are the ones that are the insecure ones. And they are lashing out because of those insecurities. So there is obviously a parting of ways to say, well, I wouldn't bully that person. I wouldn't handle it like that. I would rather take this other, pathway. But the idea that it is from a deep-seated element of, imposter syndrome and self-shaming. I mean, to me, how could you look at that guy and not say that? Well, all right. Apparently bullies being insecure is a myth. I don't know how you can read what Donald Trump tweets. I honestly don't. And say that that he is somebody that does not, in his heart of hearts, constantly search for outward validation and bullies his world to try to find it. I guess I just think, to me, I don't know how anybody, I don't know how anybody can read that and be like, yeah, no, he's got it all together. No, he's totally cool with where he is and where he's going. Totally. I can't possibly. I mean, like that to me seems that seems ridiculous. That seems insane. Going after Matt Lauer. And here's the other thing. So then he goes after Joe Scarborough. Oh, he might have even deleted this one. Did he delete this tweet? So here's the other. This is the last thing we're going to do in terms of covering Trump's Twitter wall to wall. So now that Matt Lauer is gone, will there be a fake news practitioners at NBC be terminating the contract of Phil Griffin? And will they terminate low ratings Joe Scarborough based on the unsolved mystery that took place in Florida years ago? Investigate. So what did happen with Joe Scarborough in 2001? Did Joe Scarborough rape or kill a girl in 2001? Y'all remember that fucking Glenn Beck meme? Here we go. I tell you right now, the number one Google search is Joe Scarborough unsolved mystery. So here we go. This is we will go to PolitiFact. Wait, does nobody remember that did Glenn Beck rape and murder a girl in 1996 or whatever? That was a meme. Like back when Glenn Beck was really blowing up on Fox, and he was like leveling all these spurious allegations. It became a meme on early Twitter to just invent this totally spurious allegation to force him to address it. So anyway, I don't know. Hashtag know your meme. Let's take a look at this. Donald Trump's pants on fire unsolved mystery attack on Joe Scarborough. This is from PolitiFact. Donald Trump took to Twitter to celebrate the firing of NBC's Matt Lauer over allegations of inappropriate sexual behavior while encouraging the network to look deeper into its employees. He then followed up with the tweet I just read. Trump mentioned 3 NBC officials: Lack, the chairman of NBC News; Griffin, the president of MSNBC; and Scarborough, a former Florida congressman who hosts Morning Joe on MSNBC. Trump is referring to an incident in 2001 when a 28-year-old congressional aide to Scarborough was found dead in one of Scarborough's district offices. Scarborough represented the Florida Panhandle counties as a Republican from 1995 to 2001. PolitiFact founder Bill Adair, then a Washington bureau chief for the St. Petersburg Times, covered the death. His report is only 286 words long, so we're republishing it in full. A congressional aide in Fort Walton Beach told people that she was feeling ill the day that before she was found dead, according to a police report. The Fort Walton Beach Police Department says that Lori Costidis, an aide to Rep. Joe Scarborough, told a co-worker on July 19th that she was not feeling well but did not elaborate. She made a similar comment to a mail carrier. She was found dead in Scarborough's district office the next morning by two people who came to seek help with an immigration case. Medical examiner Dr. Michael Birkland said that Costidis, 28, from Niceville, lost consciousness because of an abnormal heart rhythm and fell, hitting her head on the desk. The head injury caused her death. The report, which was released Monday, quotes friends and relatives as saying that Costidis was happily married and known as Little Miss Mary Sunshine. They said she was undergone moderate stress in the day before she died. She had 2 assignments due for college courses. She and her husband had recently moved into a new house, and she was looking for a new job because Scarborough recently resigned from Congress effective in December. Relatives told police she was upbeat about a job possibility at a local radio station and had recently received a $6,000 raise. Here's the key. This does not exactly seem like an unsolved mystery, now does it? It seems like a death that Joe Scarborough was probably not even in his home district for. In fact, I would make the argument that, this is just not, I don't know. Like, I pay attention to a lot of these conspiracy theories because I find the creation and profligation of them to be fascinating. Also, when you are a journalist, which I was in a former life, the conspiracy theories is where you find news often. It might not be the theory itself, but fringe elements around it very, very oftentimes dredge up stuff that you need to cover. And obviously things are personal between Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, and Donald Trump. They have been constant targets for him. But, does it make sense to say it's classless? Right? Does it? Does it make sense to say that it's something that's, doesn't have a lot of class to it? Because it doesn't. You're trying to pin a murder on somebody, right? Like, that's something that should probably be looked at more than once. Oh, hey, here's a murder. Did you have anything to do with it? I don't know. And beyond that, again, you're the president. If you believe that somebody really had a hand in somebody's murder, don't you have a lot of people on call that have to answer your phone call at any hour of the night that could look into these things? Joe, Mika, and Donald all have low-class issues. I'm not going to deny that. I will say only one of them is president. They can all be classless, but only one of them is a classless president. And again, I'm not a big Or of the Office guy. I'm just saying. All right. Let's go ahead and get into some. Here, let's stay on the Matt Lauer thing for 2 minutes. Keith Olbermann is out. Keith Olbermann, obviously somebody that was in many ways a childhood hero of mine, personally. The Sports Center with him and Dan Patrick. When I was a kid growing up, it was what I wanted to do. I loved it so much. I mean, not enough to wind up getting into sports so much, but just the The writing, the personality, doing it every single day, being a voice in people's lives on a regular basis, something that I always loved. And then he goes off and does the politics thing on MSNBC, winds up getting fired from that, goes back to sports at ESPN for a hot minute. And then in the era of the 2016 election and the Trump presidency, wound up going to GQ. Now, I don't agree with much of what Keith Olbermann says, but I love Keith Olbermann. He's just such a fussy little bitch pot. He's just, no regard for his own glass houses, right? He is just a take machine. But he's a very clever writer, so he gets away with a lot of it. But he's just such a smug little bitch. It's so fucking great. So anyway, he's out of his job with GQ. He was doing these web videos called The Resistance. Sir, I am retiring from political commentary, sir. So yes, far from the worst person in the world. GQ special correspondent Keith Olbermann announced Monday that he is retiring from political commentary in all media venues during his online program, The Resistance. The former ESPN, MSNBC, Current TV, and Fox Sports host said that he was confident President Trump's presidency would end soon, thereby making it the correct moment to exit from making further political commentary. I am now, even more so than I had been throughout the last year, that this nightmare presidency of Donald John Trump will end prematurely and end soon. And I am thus also confident that this is the correct moment to end this series of commentaries. But you can't keep a smug man down. No. And lo, he was back at it this morning, retired from political commentary in many ways. He goes on to say, for his own mental health, that he wants a better quality of life. This is not him getting fired. He says he has always done this for free and it wasn't for money. I don't know about that. Usually Keith Olbermann winds up leaving places because of either respect or money. That normally is the kind of playbook. So this would be an aberration if he were leaving by himself. But, you can't keep him down. You can't keep him down. This is him after the Matt Lauer stuff breaks. Goes on Twitter. Says the following. Sheesh. Gotta love a wordsmith who begins a tweet with sheesh. This is what I get for arranging to not have to look at Twitter all morning, winky face. Matt Lauer was remorselessly vindictive and tyrannical to everyone at NBC News, and management repeatedly enabled him and buried the issue. And, oh, God. Oh, God. This is the best. This is the best. Seriously, bottle this and put it in a vineyard's a vineyard's cellar and let it age for 20 years so I might sip upon it in 2 decades hence. The smugness on this tweet. Oh, Jesus. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's some smug shit. He then goes on to write, and I did kind of tip you off to this. Hashtag not at all a humble brag. So he tweets a picture of an old tweet, which reads, my God, my phone case just melted from the volume of texts about 3 separate rumors of big-name sexual harassment and misconducts around the media. Pro tip, nobody take Thanksgiving off. He then highlights when he tweeted it, which is November 22nd. Well, I mean, geez. You got to wonder what year he knew. I mean, listen, he was working at MSNBC probably close to 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? He was, he was. I mean, he's taking a picture of it, right? So, I bet you. I mean, was it when he was at Current, right? Was it maybe when he was at ESPN that he first heard of this? Like, why would people be going to him? Maybe he knew, some of this stuff from behind the scenes. Let's go ahead and see. 22nd. Oh. 2017. Let me go ahead and looking at my Apple. It's about that. Oh, today's the 29th. Maybe Captain Kipper in the chat says 1917, right? Was it turn of the century? 1917? Is that Teddy Roosevelt or Taft? One of those two, right? No, Twitter wasn't invented in 1917, so it couldn't be 1917. So it has to be this year. 100 years later, which was Wilson, Woodrow Wilson, which was a week ago. 1 week ago. 1 week ago. He's doing a touchdown dance because he tipped you off 1 week ago. The story broke a week later. At least he's not taking too much of a victory lap. Here's the next picture he tweeted. For audio listeners, it's a picture of him looking smug, looking upwards to in an elevator with "I told you so" emblazoned in front of it. I mean, come on. Come on. This guy. How can you not love what a smug little bitch he is? It's so funny. And now we know that Me Too texts can melt phone cases. Bilbo Smuggins. And by the way, yeah, he didn't even tip you off. He didn't even say, hey, today I received a lot of sexual assault tip-offs, right? He didn't say, where in the world do I have to be to avoid getting texted over and over and over again about these sexual assault tip-offs? Like, he didn't even say, my welcome mat is lumpy because of all of the sexual assault rumors that I'm getting texted. There was none of that. He was just like, yeah, I don't know. Somebody caused a sexual assault. And then it pops off and he's like, told you so. That was Upa Palyuka real slow. Oh, man. All right. We got a problem for the Democrats. Or the Democrats have a problem, rather. That is that they're on the wrong side of some of this Me Too stuff. They got this Franken thing that they're trying to tweet through. And more importantly, I think you have the John Conyers thing, which is ugly. UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. That's what this is right now. The reason why is because there is just shifting ground here. And they trotted out Nancy Pelosi onto Meet the Press this week, and it was a bad look. It was a real bad look for her because she went out and kind of like gave a hand wave to the accusers of John Conyers and kind of sung the praises of a dude who is now fairly credibly charged with sexual assault. That's not good. Because right now, the Democrats want to keep a moral high ground on this issue. And it appears likely now that it's going to require a few sacrificial lambs. And those lambs are named John Conyers and Al Franken. Because here's the direct problem for them. There is a special election in Alabama on December 12th. It is against Roy Moore and Doug Jones. They are close, maybe as close as they are going to get in a generation to electing a Democrat in Alabama. Doesn't happen, okay? So for everybody who's out here, this is why people who listen to this show are the smartest political class that you're going to find. You want to know why? While everybody else is saying, if the Republicans vote in bleep blop in Alabama, it shows that it doesn't show shit. It doesn't show shit. It shows that there's more Republicans in Alabama. And so they're going to overlook bad behavior on the people that are running for their side. That's what happens. However, you could keep this in the news, the Democrats could, and get Doug Jones elected, in my opinion, if they sacrificed Conyers and Franken and then made it a we are the party that does not deal with this shit. If that were the case, I think that you got a credible claim to that seat. At least it's gonna help you a lot better. Because what you want to do, again, all right, so Captain Kipper says GOP voters will still vote for Moore. You're not going to talk GOP voters to not voting for Roy Moore. Get that out of your head. What you're talking to is for GOP voters to stay home. What you're talking about is for independent voters to come out. What you're talking about is for lower turnout Democratic circles, mostly black Democrats in Alabama, to get to the polls and be energized because they believe they can win. The problem here is that I do believe that the Democrats are going to pay a price, or at least they're leaving money on the table if they don't make this their issue. And they have a chance to do it because Donald Trump's in the White House and he's got sexual assault claims against him. Also, by the way, now he's saying that Access Hollywood tape isn't real. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. You and I know you were grabbing those pussies. Come on, buddy. You can't go apologize for the tape and then be like, yeah, no, that wasn't me. You can't shaggy this shit, dude. You can't shaggy it after you fucking apologize for it. You can't hit with the, wasn't me. Here's all I'm saying, man. You can either win this election or you cannot. And anybody who listens to this show knows that a lot of this shit ain't fair. A lot of this shit ain't right. Politics is a game where you put people into a booth and you have them hit your button more than the other person's button. Every game comes with terrain. Every terrain is uneven. And many times it is uneven in the favor of one side. What are you going to do about it? Reniku. He even got me on camera. It wasn't me. Real quick, I know a lot of people who are probably listening to this show want me to talk about the Washington Post and the Project Veritas stuff. I talked about it at length on the Jury Show, far more from a journalist perspective than a political perspective. I don't know exactly how much of a political fallout this is going to have. In general, I found the Project Veritas stuff to be a little bit it's red meat for certain circles on the right, but I don't exactly know how much of a needle mover it is beyond shoring up enthusiasm with certain right-leaning groups. So I don't really know exactly how much political fallout there is, but I do know this. That report by the Washington Post was the most gloves off, we are going to bury you with everything we have kind of writing I have ever read. And you can listen to me break down almost every line of it on the jury show. So please go ahead and download that. It's called WAPONed. So you will pick up where I'm coming from on this. But I think I spent 40 minutes on it yesterday. So go ahead and check that out. All right. We only got a couple more of these, right? We only got I think one or two more trips down to Bama. You know, I'll tell you what, we'll go down to Bama and get some Dreamland barbecue. I mean, I guess, listen, the Iron Ball's over, so it's a little bit more War Eagle than it is Roll Tide down there these days. But, maybe we can cut loose a little bit. Yeah. Maybe we can find a little place to kick back. All this politics stuff in the air. We can look at it in a little bit of a different light. Maybe sit back on a little yak. Maybe, hey, me, you, a couple friends, we go ahead and rent a limo. See, yeah, maybe we drive down. Maybe blow off a little steam, huh? Maybe we take one of those $100 bills, we break them down into ones, and we say, Maybe we continue to find out exactly how special this election's gonna get. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is an Alabama special election.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance, 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 dance.
That booty.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an Emerson poll taken from November 25th to the 27th with a sample size of 500 likely voters. We've got a 4.3% margin of error. Coming up first to the stage. Oh, for a second there, it looked like he was gonna come from behind. But now he's just in the rear with that donkey ass. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a big round of applause for your Democratic candidate with 47% of the vote. It is Doug Jones.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
But in the lead, I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter how big that lead is for Roy Moore, because he's used to getting excited at things barely over double digits. He is your front runner, the judge, Republican, with 53% of the vote. He is Roy Moore. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more. Actually, forget that. He doesn't dance to that song. He likes that early Britney. Way early Britney. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an Emerson poll giving Roy Moore a 6-point spread. Sometimes I run. Roy Moore's going to win. Roy Moore is, oh, baby. It's going to win. Unless the following happens. The more this is a regular election in Alabama and not a national election, if it's a local election, Roy Moore will win. Okay? So this is why I think what's happening in the Senate right now matters for the Democrats. Because if it's a national election, Doug Jones has a shot. If it's a local election, then it will be local rules. And anybody, we got a couple Alabamans here in the chat. Republicans win. That's just what happens. That's what the demographics are laid out for, specifically in low turnout special elections. Now, if there are national stories about Roy Moore being a creep, you watch his poll numbers fall. If there are hard lines in the sand from the Democratic Party saying we want Doug Jones to come into a different kind of Democratic Party up here, now you are speaking a little bit more to independents, and you are highlighting again that Roy Moore is a creepster and Doug Jones is not. I guarantee you that there is an element, these poll numbers can't move like this unless there are an element of Republicans that want to stay home because Roy Moore is a creep ass. So the more you are reminding them, the more likely people are to stay home. Again, you're not flipping anybody. The people that stay home because Roy Moore is a creep ass will vote for every Republican again for the rest of their lives. National election, Doug Jones wins. Local election, Roy Moore wins. That's how it breaks down. Let's go ahead and get into But Your Emails. You can go ahead and become a part of the smartest email mailbag in politics by hitting us up at theyoungamerican.com. Again, that is theyoungamerican.com. Got some really cool ones here. Don writes, notwithstanding the levels of decency, especially vis-a-vis sexual harassment, are finally being critiqued and hopefully updated, there appears to be no tool to screen out basic elements of lewdness or corruption among candidates. How does a man who was on a security watch list for inappropriate cruising at a mall get cleared to run for office? That's not partisan. It's just grimy. Walmart does more thorough background checks on their greeters than the Republicans or Democrats seem to do on their presidential and congressional candidates. So, if the Electoral College is supposed to ensure a qualified person is named president, why not have them be involved before the primaries? That is, use the college to pre-screen candidates for both/all parties and ensure that they meet a base level of morality, professionalism, and skills. Functional literacy, review of financial holdings, and an understanding of consent would be a nice start, but I could see a healthy national debate on what those screening criteria need to be. Maybe the college could even have an investigative role, or could be become a body to encourage diversity by celebrating desirable qualities in aspiring candidates while also articulating undesirable ones. I could also see potential for them to objectively, maybe even blindly screen candidates of both parties, so it's not just a set of two pre-primaries. I'm sure this will never happen. Political institutions in America change about as frequently as the president of Zimbabwe. Theoretically, the parties screen their people. But again, here's another tenet of this show. I'm seeing a lot of new names in here, right? So let me rewire another key tenet of this show. There is no power but future power. So if you've got a grimy dude that you know is grimy and your research before you put him on the squad shows that he's grimy, but he's likely to get elected, man, that's a hard decision. That's a hard decision, right? Because future power says, I want to know that guy. Current power is like, ooh, is this a good decision for us? I mean, only if he wins. Well, then I guess we better make him win. I mean, as for the Electoral College, listen, man, they ain't doing shit that will draws more heat on them. That thing is going to be what it is forever, and that's just that. All right. Blair writes, could you please explain what the 3 types of politics that you talk about are that you end your podcast phrase with? Of course. Politics, of course, which is what we all pay attention to. Politics, which is something that a lot of people really don't understand. And politics, the wacky shit that happens, when people start running for office. Those are the 3 levels of politics that we talk about. Sean writes, with the Democratic governor in New Jersey, what happens to Senator Menendez? Do the Democrats now take the high road to boot him since he can be replaced with the Democrat? I'm not going to lie to you, Sean, I had to read up on this. That seems like the most likely case for me. Or at least it seems more likely that would happen. Joe writes, I know you were asking for people to offer solutions. Oh, I asked everybody to write in solutions about mental health, right? You hear a lot of people say gun violence isn't a gun issue, it's a mental health issue. So if it's a mental health issue, how do we solve it? Write in. Joe wrote in, I know you're asking for people to offer solutions. I remember you asking pro-gun people for solutions, and I'm ambivalent about guns, but I did a lot of complaining, so I'll try to posit something real quick. I agree that what we have is a culture problem. Most of these shootings are at the hands of white men. Age doesn't seem to be an issue. We need to figure out what makes white dudes do this. I imagine it has something to do with toxic masculinity and mental health stigmas. I wouldn't say it has anything to do with the time we live in, since serial killers and mass shooters are not concepts that are all that new. So if we want to stop these shootings, we would have to figure out what is so deeply rooted in our cultural raises that treats white men. That means we'd actually have to treat psychologists and sociologists and philosophers like intelligent people and not liberal quacks. So who knows? A lot of solutions I've heard feel like Band-Aids, while we do need some actual surgery. Politically, I see this as something that is impossible to do, like healthcare or tax reform or immigration. To fix the problem, we have to destroy the system that's already in place. And that wouldn't be very popular, I think. The thing that's hard to say about, like, oh, it's white men, is that, like, there's a lot of white men in this country. Just a lot of them. A lot of them running around, clogging up the streets, making it hard to get a table at a restaurant. These white guys, a menace. So it's hard to just say, oh, well, white guys are doing all this. Well, yeah, white guys are also, like, running all the companies, right? So it's hard to kind of make that judgment. But I do think that there are deeply rooted sociological issues. And I do think that there's a connection to the fact that the most likely way that a white man to die at a certain age, I think it's from like 20 to 40, is suicide. So if that's true, and a lot of these mass shootings are effectively suicide missions, Randy writes, for context, I'm a registered Republican with a strong libertarian bent who's disgusted with the majority of Republicans and who voted for neither Trump nor Clinton in the 2016 election. Was the Kush too loud? Did you vote for Kush too loud? I identify best politically with folks like Jimmy Madison and Tom Jefferson. I love me some Triple P, and I appreciate your clear efforts to fairly assess politics in order to squeeze as much entertainment as possible from our illustrious leaders, regardless of their political affiliation. On to guns and mental health. There's only one issue in particular where I believe Republicans, even the great Reagan, have failed miserably for decades, and that's criminal justice. I think Republicans are missing an enormous opportunity at the moment in not focusing on criminal justice reform. This is one area where I think Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians can get on the same page and properly change criminal justice to have a positive effect on gun violence. There are several areas that I think could be touted by both major parties to really affect change. Number one, nonviolent crimes should carry penalties other than prolonged prison stays. Number two, Violent crimes should carry harsher penalties. Number 3, any crime committed with a gun should carry a minimum sentence and or doubled sentence. And 4, certain accidental gun deaths should be treated similarly to deaths caused by drunk driving. Number 5, lower level violent behavior associated with mental illness should prompt evaluation and treatment. Listen, I think it's an interesting idea, and coming from a Republican, I do think that there is a lot more room for us to think about exactly how we deal with criminal justice in this country, specifically on something like drug laws. I think reforming drug laws probably does a lot for the kind of violence that we see, specifically when the vast majority of gun violence happens in the inner cities and is oftentimes drug-related. But we do need to look at it differently, specifically for nonviolent offenders. I mean, like, mandatory minimums for nonviolent offenders, I think, are kind of silly. But, hell, that's just me. One more time. If you want to support this show, patreon.com/JURY is where you can kick me a little scratch. Make sure that you keep independent political analysis alive, okay? This does not happen without you. You guys are the reason to make it happen. Number 2, stickers or DIAF. Stickers or DIAF is where you can get the Politics exclusive sticker. This baby right here. You can also get our pin set, less than 50 available. So go ahead and check that out. Also, The Contender, the game of presidential debate, the political card game that I made along with John Teasdale and Guts and Glory. That is on sale for the rest of the holiday season. $17.76, Pierce. $17.76 for the 500 card base deck. We also have a big deal. 750 cards. All of our mini expansions. The 2 ones that are coming out before the end of Christmas. Everything in one package for you for the low price of $99. Go ahead and check it out. thecontender.us. If you want to email this show, go ahead and do it at theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music is provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me, Justin R. Young, everywhere. Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. Download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, some shows talk about politics. Others talk about politics. Still more talk about politics. This is the only show that talks about all 3. We will see you next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.